Let's look at the government wage bill. And as we've been reporting, even though the government has given this offer to harmonize the pay for teachers and civil servants, it remains unclear and highly unlikely if the striking workers will actually accept that offer that was made by Education Minister Mutula Kilonzo this evening. But what is clear, though, tonight is that the government will have to stretch its treasury to meet the salary demands by its workers. OCHIENG reports.
This could only be happening in Kenya, where we have the doctors, the lecturers, the trainee doctors, the hospital registrars, the nurses and the doctors all on strike at the same time. It won't be further from the truth if we say Kenya is no longer a working nation. School-going children are at home, no learning in colleges, and no health service provision in public hospitals. The strike is all about salary increments, with teachers, for example, demanding a 300% salary increment. Which begs the question, can the government afford the demands of increased wages? Or can the government afford to ignore the current state of a striking nation?
It is not possible to meet all those obligations right away. Partly because there's significant constraints in new revenue, and of course the budget has already been approved. So for anything to be done would require supplementary budgets.
The public sector wage bill has increased at an annual average of 36% over the last 5 years. The bulk of the growth is attributed to the hefty salaries of senior public servants, which have risen disproportionately in comparison to those in lower and middle level of the service. The 2012 economic survey shows Kenya's nominal wage rose to 878.7 billion shillings, an 8.8% growth from 807.9 billion shillings paid out in 2010. Analysts warn that the increase in recurrent expenditure will strain the economy and starve infrastructural development.
Unless government cuts off on development expenditure, which means all the money that was intended for development expenditure under development expenditure will then be diverted for the purposes of paying salaries.
Already government, through the affected ministries, has said it will not be possible to honor the demands of the striking workers. Medical Services Minister Professor Anyang' Nyong'o has sacked striking trainee doctors. His education counterpart Mutula Kilonzo insists the teachers' demands are unrealizable, while Finance Minister Njeru Gidawe has twice snubbed meetings with union heads before saying it is impossible to hit to their demands.
The current public sector wage bill is not affordable, is not sustainable.
It is now 3 weeks since learning was disrupted in public learning institutions and only a month before the start of national examinations. Schools and hospitals are no-go zones and the solution is yet to be arrived at. All this happening nowhere else but in Kenya, our motherland. OCHIENG, KTN Prime.